Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Look at it now, kids. Yep, week one. Now we're into week 2 of being demonetized by YouTube. So please support us at rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. It's free to sign up, but the premium content is $10 a month at Rockfin. And the good thing about Rockfin is you get, for $10 a month, you get everyone on Rockfin's premium. So my premium content, Lee Camp, Jimmy Dore, Status Coup, Ron Placone, Convo Couch, Kim Iverson, Whitney Webb, a lot of content creators. Jason Burmis, Richard Medhurst, they're all on there. And if you like wrestling and MMA, they're all on there too. So you get a lot of really cool content for the low cost of $10 a month. And it's blockchain and it's cryptocurrency. So you're supporting what we're doing. You can also support what we're doing at patreon.com. I really appreciate everybody who's been a Patreon supporter, and a bunch of new people jumped on. When the YouTube thing happened last week, it's been stressful. It's been a little crazy, but the support I've gotten, just in emails and texts and people retweeting what's happened to me, all of the people having me on their shows and talking about it on their shows and pushing it out. Cause it's not just me. A good 10 or so shows have been demonetized. Some shows bigger than me. And so thank you. You can go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood is another great way to support the show, which is where Independent Left News supports us and submitted this article. Company behind North Carolina pipeline spill inspected less than 50% in 2019 and improperly kept records. This is why I'm always against pipelines, because they're going to spill. They're going to be awful. I remember I was like 2 years ago, I was like, don't let them build that pipeline. Don't let it they want to connect the pipeline. But this pipeline's been around a long time. Yeah, that's another thing. That's when they're like, oh, the new technology. So they don't care. The government and I'm going to show you, the government gives them little slaps on the wrist and better not do that again. And they keep doing it. So when you find politicians in either party that get money from the oil and the pipeline companies, this is why they're allowed this. So your water supply, your children's water supply, you like fishing, right? You like playing outside, you live in the country or wherever, they can contaminate it and there's no repercussions. This is why we need to get off of oil. There's so many reasons to get off of oil. Oil companies are evil. Pipeline companies ruin our planet and nobody gives a shit. We should have a pipeline for water. I've talked about this numerous times. And instead of oil, which spills, it kills the thing, ruins the environment. This is it's mystifying to me when I see some red state voters are like, yeah, oil and climate change is a hoax. Okay. Whatever. That's ridiculous. I'm not even going to argue that with you, but is a spilled pipeline a hoax? When oil gets into your water, right? You like hunting, you like fishing. Well, the oil is going to contaminate that. You're not going to be able to do that. So it's not fake science when oil contaminates your water supply and your children, and there's health problems. I could do 1,000 videos a week just showing all of the health issues that have stemmed from all this. Colonial Pipeline, whose 5,602-mile interstate pipeline spilled over 1.2 million gallons of gas in Huntersville, North Carolina last August. Were they talking about it last August? I don't remember the mainstream media covering this. I don't remember this being like a story they just wouldn't stop talking about. This is a story they should cover nonstop. What were they talking about last August? I was talking about Epstein last August, but they weren't even talking about that. Kind of, a little bit, but they weren't really talking about that. Were they talking about this 24/7? No. They're talking about how Bernie's Medicare for All plan, how are we going to pay for it? They were saying bullshit like that. They were talking about Russia. I mean, in late October last year, 2 weeks before the election, when it looked like maybe Biden might not win, they were talking, I don't know, Russia's already hacking this election. When Biden wins, there's no Russia involvement. Oh, Russia didn't hack the election, I guess. Oh, the January 6th Capitol siege happened. Oh, I think Russia was involved. Okay. It's just conveniently Russia interferes and doesn't interfere. But we didn't talk about this pipeline spill, didn't we? 1.2 million gallons. Only the pipeline company only inspected a maximum of 2,542 unique miles of pipe in 2019, accounting for roughly 45% of the line. Break it down for you real quick. 5,600 miles of total pipeline, only 2,500 or so were inspected. Less than 50%. And weird, they didn't inspect the whole pipeline, so there's a spill. So this could have been avoided, but they didn't want to. They didn't want to spend the money. So this is why I'm against any new pipelines anywhere. Take down the old ones. Don't build any new ones. I'm against fracking because it contaminates the water. There's earthquakes tied to fracking. There's been explosions. Well, I mean, how many spills and explosions and earthquakes? How many of those do we need before it's like, boy, maybe we should do something about it? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris looked right into the camera at both of the debates and said, we're not banning fracking. He repealed the Keystone Pipeline, which is it's such a token gesture. That was a pipeline Obama stopped, but he left it open to keep going. He didn't say, no, it's done. It can never be redone. That's just typical of the Democrats. A big gesture that the complicit corporate media that gets money from the big oil companies says, oh yeah, we're taking care of the environment. First thing Biden did in office is get rid of the Keystone Pipeline. Okay, great. Is he going to get rid of all the other ones? Because Obama didn't do shit about Standing Rock, about the Dakota Access Pipeline. He said, quote, let's see how this plays out. Quote, that's what Obama said about Standing Rock. Okay. That's why I've driven electric cars. Right now I'm driving a rental car because my car got smashed up. So I don't like driving a gas car, but my last two cars were electric. And I know the electric car isn't I know there's a lot of minerals that got to go into the batteries and all that stuff, but I just can't support this. This is so awful. Given the August bill came from a previously repaired crack, maybe the most eyebrow-raising piece of information in the report is that only 650 miles of the pipeline were inspected by crack or long seam detection tools. And this article, and I'll put it in the show notes, you can go through it. They talk about how the report came out, and I'm going to show you in a second. There's a stretch of pipeline. They basically inspected, or they counted it twice. Yeah, let's be lazy inspecting pipelines. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? 1.2 million gallons contaminating. It's going to take years and decades to clean these oil spills up. Given the first 909 miles in the report were likely counted twice due to the nature of the filing, the maximum amount of unique pipeline expected is likely somewhere around 2,500. So this is very detailed, and I'll show you in a sec. So it says mileage inspected in calendar using the following inspection tools: corrosion or metal loss tools, dent or deformation tools. These are two different systems. It's the exact same number, 909.01. Cracker long seam defect detection tool, 649 miles. Any other internal inspection tools, 0. Total mileage inspected in calendar using inline inspection tools, 2468. I'll show you that up close. 90901. They probably counted this once. Or twice, rather. This is their report. The report also details how the Colonial Pipeline was aged, with nearly 40% of the pipeline being at least 20 years old. Wow, 20 years is a long time, but it's not as much as 40%. 624 of the 707 miles that run through the state were built before 1980, making an astonishing 88% of the pipeline at least 40 years old. When you vote for the Democratic Party as the lesser of two evils, stuff like this happens. I guarantee you, both parties' fingerprints are all over this pipeline. The decades that it got signed, all of them, because the oil companies buy both parties. And then you think, oh, MSNBC is so much better than Fox. Is it really? Rachel Maddow cuts to a commercial, and it's literally a Boeing ad while she's pushing Russiagate, a defense contractor. And then there's an ad for Shell Oil. And then there's, same thing on Fox. Then there's an ad for Pfizer. That's why they're always like, how are we going to pay for it? Because they're pushing the corporate narrative. That's what all these networks do. Fox, MSNBC, CNN, it doesn't matter. They're all pushing the corporate narrative because we don't have a representative democracy anymore. We have a kleptocracy run by oligarchs. That's what we have. We have a kleptocracy, which is meaning a government run by big corporations. And who runs the big corporations? The oligarchs do. So there's a national body of regulators that's like, it's kind of like the EPA. It's got a longer, I'll show you in a second. The PHMSA, which is that's the regulating body for this. They don't do anything. Regulators found 5 instances where Colonial waited 4, 5, even 11 months to perform required inspections. Boy, you'd think, then this organization is going to come down on them hard. Nope. The PHMSA declined to discipline Colonial, instead opting to give the company 30 days to respond with corrective action. Gee, I wonder why a government body doesn't crack down harder on this group. Gee, let me guess. It's not even worth the time to go to Open Secrets because it'll tell us what we mean, right? Go to opensecrets.org yourself and find all the politicians in North Carolina that let this happen because they're paid. They got lobby money from either directly from the oil and pipeline companies or from some America pipeline pack or some, freedom juice pack. And it's like, oh, it's the oil pipeline pack that pays these assholes to make sure nobody gets. So there's no repercussions. There's no repercussions. Our federal government does nothing, and they've been doing nothing about these pipelines for decades. So you want to do backflips because Joe Biden's in office? Okay, nothing's changing. Oh, we're back in the Paris Accord? Joe Biden said during the campaign, we need a middle ground on climate policy. That says that, hey, middle ground, that's like wink, wink, oil companies. Don't worry. I'm not going to get rid of you. It's why I have a little more faith in actually the American consumer who's just like, we want electric cars. General Motors has said its whole fleet is going to be electric by 2035. Other Volkswagen, other companies are starting to do this. Ford has the Mustang that's all electric. And now the news that came out today, Bitcoin, right, will be accepted by Tesla and Elon Musk. It was just discovered he bought $1.5 billion in Bitcoin, which sent the price from $38,000 up to $46,000, $47,000 in a day. The news of 2 things: $1.5 billion in Bitcoin buying, which is huge because then Bitcoin is a finite. There's only 21 billion Bitcoins out there. So that's a lot of Bitcoins he just snatched up, which drives up the value. Bitcoin is like gold, right? Somebody buys up a bunch of gold, it makes it more scarce. So it's more expensive to buy it. And Tesla will be accepting, I'm not sure if it's this year or next, but in the short future, you will be able to buy Teslas with Bitcoin directly, not converted to cash, which you can do now. There's some exchanges where you're going to be able to get a debit card connected. Okay, great. They're talking about you're going to walk into a Tesla dealership and say, I want to buy that Tesla. They're going to say whatever the price is. Oh, it's 60 grand or whatever. And you're going to go, I'm going to send you some Bitcoin. Ding, boom, papers, your car's gone. Done. You got it. And I guarantee you the news of that today is Monday, February 8th. Oh, the cops are coming. This might be the YouTube cops coming in now that I've been demonetized to just throw me into Gitmo. I guarantee you every other car company was having a meeting today, a phone conference, a Zoom, at least an email memo went out going, hey, how do we make people buy Fords with Bitcoin. How do we get Chevys bought? How does Toyota accept Bit? Every car company was doing that when Elon Musk did that. One guy bought a bunch of Bitcoin and said, my company is going to accept it, and drove the price up 20%. 20%. He drove the price up $9,000. And Bitcoin hit an all-time high of 47,000 some hundred, another all-time high. So this is what I'm talking about. Because, you know, I'm sure the squad is going to send out some really stiff tweets on this one. What is the state assembly in North Carolina? Who runs it? The Democrats? They're going to do nothing. So they're going to send tweets. They all get paid off. That's why you got to vote with your dollars. Colonial has been cited 27 times. Boy, our federal government, our federal regulation boards are really stiff and tough. Boy, they're just like a grade school crossing guard. Like, I'm going to write you a supplemental potential detention slip. They've been cited 27 times by the PHMSA, which stands for whatever, sell out, do nothings, since 2000. Such as $34 million stemming from nearly 900,000 gallons of diesel fuel spilling into a South Carolina river in 1996. You might go, oh, 34 million, that's a lot of money. It's nothing to an oil company. It's like you getting fined $5. It's nothing. Oh, maybe a $50 fine. Maybe $100. It's nothing. And more importantly, nothing changed because it keeps happening. If you were a real regulatory body, huge fines, the pipeline shut down. You're done. You're done. But Graham, what about all these oil people jobs? You're going to send oil workers out in the streets. Not with a real Green New Deal. That was a big component of the Green New Deal that was introduced by Bernie Sanders and AOC before she sold out, which is you transition fossil fuel employees at their same job, their same salary, right? So you take somebody that works for one of these pipeline companies. Let's say they're making, I'm just going to pick a number. Let's say they're making 70 grand a year, right? Shut down the pipeline, shut down the oil. It's done. You keep your $70,000 until we move you into green energy. That's part of what the Green New Deal would be. How are we going to pay for it? The same way we pay for all these ridiculous wars. You know, the $9 trillion we've spent on the global war on terror for the last 20, we're coming up on 20 years. This October will be 20 years. 20 years we've been fighting in Afghanistan. It's the equivalent of we were still fighting the Japanese 20 years after Pearl Harbor, which would mean we would still be in a ground war in Asia with the Japanese army in 1961. Let that sink in. Instead, the war ended in 1945. We started the Marshall Plan. We helped rebuild Japan. They became one of our allies. And their coming out party to the world of, hey, we're not an evil empire anymore, was the 1964 Tokyo Summer Olympics. We could be doing that in Kabul right now. Hey, man, the Taliban's gone. Women have all these rights. Companies are coming to invest in Afghanistan to make it a more modern society because they were one of the reasons why the Taliban was able to take hold, because it's just abject poverty there. I've been there. The poverty level is insane. That's what we could have done. Nope, just keep bombing it. Keep sending Americans to go over there and die. For what? For pipeline companies like this? Are you kidding me? Imagine if we were sitting here going, hey guys, in 3 years, the Olympics are going to be in Kabul. Oh my God. Remember how awful 9/11 was? And now the Middle East is thriving and the whole world is done with like getting off of oil and we're practically done and the whole world got behind. So there's no reason for terrorism anymore because America's not this evil empire crushing everybody. Israel stopped treating Palestinians like second-class citizens. There would be like war in Yemen. What? There'd be no 85,000 dead children in Yemen. None of that. None of that. There'd be no 22 vets a day, American veterans committing suicide because they have PTSD from this 20-year war in the Middle East. Imagine that. That's the world because that's what we did after World War II. We rebuilt Europe. London, which was bombed for 3 years straight. In 1961, like the mod and the rock and roll was starting, and these guys started playing. These 4 guys from Liverpool started a little band in 1961 or 62, somewhere in there. They went to Hamburg, Germany, and just started inventing a new style of rock and roll. That's not what is happening in Afghanistan or Iraq or Yemen. It is a hellscape, and it is a hellscape that the American empire has created and continues, thanks to war criminals like George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, who's now President Biden, Donald Trump, another idiot. So, Graham, what we're talking about a pipeline in North Carolina. What does this have to do with the Middle East? Everything. If we were if we were done with oil, that's what could have happened. How about this proposal? How about Al Gore didn't buckle like a little crybaby, and then dumb liberals blamed Ralph Nader for the 2000 election? No, blame a corrupt system. Blame once again, Al Gore ran a horrible campaign, barely even campaigned in his home state of Tennessee. Thanks to Bill Clinton, couldn't keep his dick in his pants. Bill Clinton is a piece of shit. He's a lying, sex addict piece of shit. He's been on Epstein's plane 26 times. I'm just giving you the lineage of how awful America and specifically the Democratic Party is. The Republicans are horrible. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney are war criminals. They're war criminals. So is Colin Powell, by the way. We could have high-speed rail coast to coast. We could have green energy. We could be like, there's no more. We're done. In 2000, after 9/11, they said by 2020, we're going to be off of oil. And we could be like, excuse me, we could be like, oh, wow. God, you barely see a gas car anymore. Just like an old one. Once in a while, you'll see like a 2004, some of the couple get, but the majority of the cars or the air's better. Oh, we got high-speed rail coast to coast. We got green energy like Flint, Michigan. Never would have happened because we would have fixed our infrastructure rather than spending trillions of dollars on war in the Middle East for more oil. So I tried to get a hold of the head of Colonial, the pipeline company, if they had a comment, and they just sent me this. There will be blood. This is their comment. They didn't really send me this. This is parody, YouTube. Don't cite me for slander. Yep. Remember this movie? This guy just murdered people to make oil because he was a greedy psychopath. That's who runs the planet and the country in both of these corrupt political parties and the corporate media outlets that spew their bullshit. This is a movie character, but this is like real people. This is who they are today. Evil, greedy psychopaths that don't care who they hurt or kill just to make money. Thanks for watching the show, ladies and gentlemen. I dream of a better world. I dream of a future where the world is a better place. We don't have that because the billionaire ruling class, many of which are sex trafficking pedophiles, in addition to being greedy, soulless sociopaths, have ruined everything for their profits. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're coming up on 500,000 dead people in America. There is growing unemployment, but the billionaires have made record profits. I hope that sinks in. It's all connected. Follow the money, connect the dots, find the truth, shave your knuckles for justice, and that's how you make Gotham great again, folks. Ba-boom. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where you can support the show. Also, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet in the show notes. We're taking cryptocurrency. I have a Coinbase affiliation link. We're going to be getting on some other exchanges. So that's how you support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube is unsubscribing us at an alarming rate. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. I even have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a lot of ways to support our show. We are getting crushed by YouTube. We've dipped under 73,000 subscribers because of YouTube. Thanks for supporting what we do.